So this is a story I wrote about 20 years ago, a story about my mom, and it's called Holding On to Mother. I wear long matronly dresses around the house these days. They're the kind of dresses my mom always wore, such as an ankle-length short-sleeve cotton dress, forest green with small red leaves and flowers embroidered down each side of a full-length zipper in front. It made her look elegant, but as a child, I thought it tacky and old-fashioned. I rescued that dress from Mom's wardrobe, and I own it now. Each day, I accept the fact that there are many traits that I've inherited from my mother. There was a time when I hated the very idea of being like her. Now I almost welcome it. Sad that I only value who she is now after all that's happened. 4 months ago, she asked me over the phone, "Will you remember me, Julie, when I'm gone?" "Oh, Mom," I said, "don't be morbid." None of us knew then the hell that was to come. Maybe she was prophetic. Maybe she had a death wish. Or maybe she was just depressed. My mother was labeled manic depressive when I was 16. I've never really seen the manic side though, only the suicidal ones. Her volatile mood swings confused and frightened me as a child. But I became accustomed to them. My limited understanding of manic depression is that it is a chemical imbalance of the brain that can be controlled with drugs. So when she became disturbed, I tell her to take her lithium. I didn't know that this time it would be different, that this episode would be the most life-shattering for all of us. They think she might have a brain tumor, my sister told me over the phone. I rushed to the ICU as soon as I could, after waiting 36 agonizing hours for her CAT scan result. The neurosurgeon told us it was indeed a tumor. The good news was not cancerous, but it was located around the core of her brainstem, therefore inoperable. The tumor was large, the size of a baseball, causing fluid pressure on her brain. If he did nothing, she would have only days to live. He decided to operate. He said, "I think I can save her." He had the kindest eyes and most optimistic disposition. He even said that once the tumor was extracted, her manic depression might even disappear altogether. He did save her life, but at what price? The left side of her body was paralyzed, leaving her unable to communicate or take care of herself. This was not how my mother would have wanted to live. This was not how anyone in their right mind would want to live. I had to send her to a nursing home where I vowed as a teenager that I would never send my parents to, because everyone there seemed so sad. There were no nursing homes in my country, Thailand. We took care of our elders ourselves, but this was out of our hands, as my sister said. There was no way we could take care of her. She needed special medical attention that we were unqualified to offer. In the beginning of it all, I felt great remorse and guilt because I had a fight with my mother not long before her diagnosis and had been remote and distant. I had rarely called her. The only memories I had were terrible ones of me refusing her requests. Said no to my mother more often than I wanted to admit. I kept beating myself up for not having been nicer to my mother through the years, for resenting her and being unforgiving. I was the kind of child who remembered every fault, every unfair treatment. I would not let go of all the deeds my mother did and did not do that had affected and hurt me. Once, when I was 9, I was talking back to her, as I often did, which agitated her, when she suddenly slapped my face so hard my nose bled. I saw the look of horror on her face when she realized what she'd done. She immediately apologized and promised to never do that again. She kept her promise, but I can't seem to forget the event. In hindsight, her action could be explained, even excused, as a symptom of her manic depression, but I wish that had never happened. Looking back now, I understand that she did the best she could given her youth, inexperience, and mental illness. The evils I, as a child, had accused her of committing were simply that she could not live up to my standards, my image of a perfect mother. I had been too harsh. She had raised me mostly alone. I was her first child. My father was stationed 3,000 miles away from home in America. Now that I have a daughter of my own, I understand more what she must have gone through. I doubt now if I could have done any better, but as a child, I always wished she could be a stronger person, someone who would love me unconditionally, someone who wouldn't get angry at me so often, who didn't see me as a burden. I know she loved me because whenever I got sick, she cooked me whatever dish I wanted. I always asked for chicken soup. Mama made the best chicken soup with rice and lots of special spices. She was the best cook in the world. You haven't tasted real Thai food until you've tasted Mom's cooking. She did it all from memory and could also duplicate any dish at a restaurant just by tasting it once. She could concoct a 3-course meal from scratch in less than 30 minutes. She didn't even start learning to cook until her mid-30s when we came to America. In Thailand, we had a live-in cook, a luxury here in America. How I miss the aroma of steamed jasmine rice and ginger chicken marinated with sweet wine. The last time my mother cooked for me was 2 years ago. I had just given birth to my baby girl. Mom came and lived with us for a week. Each morning, she swept my tiny kitchen floor until it was spotless. Then she boiled her pot of water and prepared the meals. She offered me a cup of hot water to drink daily. "This will make you strong," she said. "Mom had a folk remedy for everything. Ginger is good for you to eat. It will help soothe baby's stomach when you nurse her," she advised. For one glorious week, I became her baby girl again, even though I was the one who had just given birth. I felt that in her own way, my mother was making up for all those times I had felt neglected and unloved as a child. She was mothering me the way I had always wanted her to. 2 days later, I felt smothered and wanted to discover my own maternal wisdom. But for one brief moment in time, I felt complete. I want my daughter to experience the rich spices of Thai food as I did. How I wish I'd paid more attention to Mama's kitchen. But I do remember. The tastes, memories are deeply etched in my brain for posterity. I am my mother's daughter. I've inherited her ability to duplicate dishes from memory. When my daughter's old enough, I'll teach her, if she wants to learn. My mother's legacy, the love of flavorful exotic Thai dishes. My mother is only 57 years old. I thought there would be at least 20 years more to take her to the beach or shopping or Paris, how she wanted to go to Paris. And though I would like to think that this experience has changed me for the better, I'm not really sure that it has. I put my life on hold, afraid to make lasting choices because I don't know what will happen. I've become angrier at no one in particular, possibly God. I want my mother back the way she was before the tumor. I want to relive my childhood so that this time I'd see it with different eyes and appreciate my mother. I want another chance to get to know who my mother was as a girl, a young woman before I was born, and as a young mother. My daughter is now 18 months old and growing so very fast. I could swear she grew an inch while I was away at work for 4 hours. Soon she'll be leaving home. Will I be able to establish with us the kind of mother-daughter relationship I always wanted with my mother? Will I simply repeat the pattern? Will my daughter know me any better? Will she feel as I do now when I'm dying? I only know that each day I try to be conscious of what went wrong between Mom and me when I was young and how I could do it differently. I know that I'm reliving my childhood through my daughter, as my mother must have done with me. Every time my daughter stops to scrutinize fallen leaves on the ground, every time she stomps on the crunchy leaves, I stop myself from rushing her, because I want to be inside her skin. She's teaching me each day how to slow down and stop time. She reminds me of my younger days, when time stood still, while I joyfully collected colorful autumn leaves and pressed them in my books, or chased dragonflies in my wooded backyard in Thailand. I've kept a journal since I was 13. When my daughter is ready, I will gather those journals and share them with her, so she will know her mother's foolish girlhood thoughts, hopes, and dreams. She'll be able to see my progress from childhood to adulthood, and the many stages I went through as a teenager, struggling to understand myself and to grow up. I want to give my daughter the chance that I never had with my mother, the chance to know who I really am. So now my daughter is 23 years old, and I think that although our relationship is better, I hope, than my mother's, there's still a lot that we could do that would improve it. There's so many things that I'd like to tell her. And, you know, they're kids and they have their own lives, and they want to live it. And I don't know if I've done any better. But I like to think that at least I have this video to share with her, so that whenever she wants to know me, she can watch it. And I hope that when she gets home, which is in a few days, to celebrate my birthday, we'll get a chance to just hang out and, enjoy being with each other.